Hello, I'm Jay Ward, and I'm based in Leicester. I've been a Methodist all my life. I started at Sunday school when I was a kid, and then took a short break in my retail career as a retail manager because I was working weekends. And then in my early 30s, returned back to a Methodist church where I used to grow up actually. So I don't live in that area anymore, but I travel back to be at my home church. And around 3 years ago, I had a calling to become a local preacher, which I'm currently training to be at the moment. But things changed this time last year. I was diagnosed with rectal cancer, and my life went all up in the air, as you probably can imagine. And I had to take a short break from doing my online course for becoming a local preacher. I took around 10 months out, but I maintained, obviously, preaching in services when I could, when I felt well enough, and also doing the bits and bobs that I always do as part of being a member of the church. I'm also the secretary for my church as well. And the reason I'm coming online today to sort of explain my story and tell you about what's happened to me is because, God is working in our lives, and sometimes we forget to look, even in our times of adversity when we feel that really there's no hope. So in October last year, I was waiting for extra treatment to start. So I was waiting for my chemotherapy to start. I'd had my radiotherapy, and I was in a low place, as you probably can imagine. And I was praying to God, and in a Sunday morning service, our local preacher explained, we need to read the Bible more and pray more. And obviously, being a local preacher, I used to pray quite a lot anyway and read my Bible daily. But I needed to do more. And as I did more, I felt this lift in me like I'd never really felt before. And I started to feel really positive and thought, you know what, I can sort of deal with this. And then the week after, I booked a last minute holiday because I was told my treatment wasn't going to start for another at least 3 weeks. So I booked a holiday, and on holiday I was praying around around the pool on one of the beds, and I was just praying to God to be closer to Him, to feel more connected, and maybe find a Sunday evening service that I could attend that, I could just feel like encounter God a little bit stronger in my life. My morning services that I was attending, obviously, were fine. I was enjoying them. And when I was preaching, I felt really close to God then as well. But I just wanted more. And I think when you go through hard times, you can want, obviously, to feel God more in your life. And there and then on the sunbed, I had this, it was like as clear as someone speaking next to me saying, do it yourself. And I can remember thinking, what, really? And I looked to the left and there was nobody there, and I looked to my right and my partner was actually snoring on the sunbed next to me. And I just thought, wow, okay. Now I could have easily just took that and thought, no, that didn't happen, and just carried on my holiday, came home and just carried on my life. But I seen it as a sign, and I came back and I spoke to my minister at my church, and I just said, I was looking for another Sunday evening service, and and I explained what had happened on holiday. And I said, could I actually do it myself? And she was like, yeah, why not? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I spoke to a few people at my church, and they was a bit like, oh, that'd be great. We'd love you to do a Sunday evening service here. And without realising, I'd sort of planted the seeds. And I then went through quite a few bad months, so probably about 3 bad months with chemotherapy. And all I could think about while I was going through this treatment was this Sunday evening service. So when I became well again and went into remission literally 2 months ago, thank you God for that, I just realised that, I need to live out what this thing that I've told people, these expectations. So I decided that I was going to put a plan together and start a Sunday evening service once a month, the first Sunday of every month, at our church, which is called Epworth Methodist Church in Leicester, and just see what happened. And we had live music. Well, I wanted live music, a part of Thanksgiving, a part of reflection, a small message, and just time to worship God. And I had the plan, I'd written it all down, I knew what I wanted, I knew in my head how it looked, and I started to put the plan together. And last night we had our first encounter evening, which I called it Encounter. Encounter evening at Epworth. In my, I'd say 25 years, maybe 30 years of going to Epworth, for actual service, it's the busiest I've ever seen the church. And I just feel so blessed that God gave me the message to act on this. Even our anniversary services, the church is full, but there's still spare seats. And for other services we've done it throughout the years where we've all come together. Again, the church has been full, but there's still been room to fill it more. And to have the church full last night, well, 3 seats at the front weren't full, because who likes to sit on the front row anyway? But I sat on one of them halfway through for the reflection. So it was basically 2 seats that actually wasn't being sat on in the whole of the church. And I just feel so fortunate that I acted on that. I could have easily, like most things that we hear and see and feel, that we have a feeling and we don't do anything about it. And I just wanted to reach out to you all that, we're all Methodists and we all should be leading with love. My service was about leading with love last night. And, love is the only way we can move forward in life. Philippians, obviously, it's Bible month this month. And I went to the circuit retreat, the district retreat they did on the study days for them. I read through the book myself probably about 4 or 5 times. And the thing that stood out was love to me. And that's one thing I think is really important for anybody with faith, whether you're a minister, a local preacher, whether you're part of the congregation, that if we all lead with love, then life would be so much easier. People would get on better. Life would be just a pleasant place to be. And last night I did it on 1 Corinthians 13, as you know, all about love. And love, never fails, and it preserves and it protects. And I just think to yourself, if we all lead like that, and, I'll be honest, when I gave these ideas to my church, I was expecting people to shut me down and go, oh no, tried that before. Oh no, it don't work here. Oh no, you need to do this first or whatever. But nobody did. Everybody supported me and my idea. And obviously not everyone came last night from my church. Other churches, because I put it out to the circuit, I put it out to the district slightly. I put it out to another circuit that was close by. I put it on social media, and we, like I said, just to have a full church was just amazing. So really, I just want to say that if you've got an idea and you just want to run with it, then do it. What is the worst that can happen? Yes, I could have turned up last night and 3 people turned up, including me, but it didn't. And I just think I trusted in God that everything was going to be okay, that God was with us, that God was there worshipping with us. And my goodness, he was there last night. You could feel God in the room. It was centered on Jesus, and it all came together. And I'm just so appreciative of that message to me when I was away. So I just wanted to share this with you all, because I just think it's so important, that we act on our instincts, especially when it contains our faith and Christ being part of our lives. So thank you for listening. And I hope that you've taken one piece away from this, and, it can help or add anything to your churches. Lots of love. God bless.